morning. I get to be the one that interrupts your conversations and tells you to sit down, but sorry, we get to sit in the shade here, and but we got the sunny day we were praying for. So welcome everybody. My name's Jason Snook. I'm a missions pastor at Commonwealth Chapel. Been serving with Virginia Supportive Housing for about 7 or 8 years now. But you know, I don't know. I was thinking about it. I don't know how your week's been going so far. If you've been frustrated, if it's been a disappointing week, if things haven't worked out maybe every day the way you want it to, but you come to a day like today, celebrating something like this, and you've got to be encouraged. And so I hope everybody here is just here encouraged, and all of us can kind of celebrate the good things that are happening here with Virginia Supportive Housing and with the residents here. So spring is sprung, and we're celebrating new buildings and new chances at life for the residents. And you got to think about just our God being a God of new beginnings, and with that, He calls us to be agents in that work. And so we get the privilege of working for justice and bringing hope. And we're very honored to do that. And so with that kind of backdrop, I'll share a passage and pray, and we'll get going. But God kind of speaks through a prophet named Isaiah to this point. He says, "Is this not the kind of fasting that I've chosen? To loosen the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter?" And it's interesting because then he tells us what would happen if we did that. And I can't help but think about the residents here, and really even the greater kind of city of Richmond, when he says, "Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard." And the neatest part, and I'll kind of end my remarks the way God ends this passage, very fitting today. He says, "Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and raise up the age-old foundations. You'll be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings." Let's pray. God, I thank you for new beginnings. Thank you for always being at work and active in our lives and our world. Thank you for allowing us to join with you in that work. And thank you most of all for the residents here in this wonderful reopening of the studios. God, we ask for your blessing over the residents and over Virginia Supportive Housing as an organization. Continue to lead and guide all of us as we co-labor with you in bringing healing and justice to our city. We celebrate today, God, because we know you're celebrating with us. Amen.
Thank you, Jason. Incidentally, Jason, his family, and his church family are volunteers at VSH. They're also neighbors of New Clay House, and they continue to help us grow our circle of friends in Carver. So thank you. Welcome to South Richmond. Welcome residents, Delegate Carr, Mayor Jones, Councilwoman Mosby, supporters, honored speakers, partners, volunteers, and friends. Back in the 1970s, this was a motel. Some 40 years later, with renewed life and purpose, it now represents the journeys that many members of our community have to make. Homelessness is a journey. It's full of hardships, and to people experiencing homelessness, it can seem endless. But back in 1995, VSH was already hard at work to make sure that we could end homelessness. At that time, we had our first executive director, Bob Wynn, and Bob's here right now. Bob, thank you for your vision and your tenacity. And he worked very hard with TK, who's sitting with him, Carl Bren, many community volunteers and the board to acquire this property and to create supportive housing. In 2011, we added this part of the building so that we could house more people experiencing homelessness. And this was done under the leadership of Alice Tusian. Alice, who's also here. And Alice was a determined powerhouse, and we also recognize and thank you. Today we celebrate the completion of a $6 million renovation of the former motel. The expanded apartments and community space help promote stable, independent living. And it wouldn't be possible without the public-private partnerships that help us do our work. They are all listed in your program and our new Wall of Hope, but I would be remiss if I did not mention their names. There's a special category of supporters who've supported us for decades, and they supported us 20 years ago when we acquired the motel. Then they supported us in 2010 when we added the addition, and now again for the renovation. They include the Richmond Redevelopment and Housing Authority, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Virginia Community Development Corporation, Virginia Housing Development Authority, Virginia Department of Housing Community Development, and of course the City of Richmond. So thank you for your decades of support. We'd also like to recognize the Burnt Carter Foundation, Dominion Foundation, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta, the Marietta McNeil Morgan and Samuel Tate Morgan Jr. Trust, the Mary Morton Parsons Foundation, the Pauley Family Foundation, the Robbins Foundation, Virginia LISC, and Wells Fargo Housing Foundation. And now if you please would join me in a round of applause for them and also all of our fine staff who are here today, who are the real ones who did all the hard work to make this possible. Thank you. While I've talked a little bit about journeys, there's also a theme here that's opening doors. In late 2014, when we were planning to renovate this building, our project manager, Julie Anderson, Julie, are you out there? Said we should do something with the 42 doors that were going to be able to be salvaged from the old building. And our mission advancement team said, yes, we can. And they partnered with Art on Wheels and used those doors to create a public art installation. That was in the city last summer, and we auctioned those doors in the fall to support our mission. So if you saw one of those doors, this is where it all started. And this is a door that was done by some of our residents. We've all had tough journeys, whether dealing with a bump in the road like a flat tire, or whether experiencing the extreme hardships of homelessness. But the best part is about at the end of that journey is coming home. To our residents, we say thank you for your patience. This has been a long renovation process, and we welcome you home. And to all of our supporters, thank you for joining us on this journey, because we couldn't end homelessness without you. Now I'd like to introduce the Honorable Betsy Carr, representative for the Virginia House of Delegates, the 69th District. Betsy works very hard representing the people of this district and helped ensure the state's Housing Trust Fund supports the creation and renovation of affordable housing. Delegate Carr.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
It is so exciting to be here at this very special occasion, the completion of this renovation of the new studios at South Richmond. I'm particularly excited that I'm here for two reasons, but being a member of the Housing Commission and also just being connected to the art doors kind of shows all the exciting things that are done in our community with Virginia Supportive Housing, pulling all the folks together, creatively combining art and the cause of homelessness, of getting rid of homelessness in Richmond. And at our church, we had a door in front at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. We serve a population there, particularly on Thursdays. And so we had a lot of folks who had been homeless or were experiencing homelessness. And this, again, brings how all of us are affected by our residents who are homeless, and the fact that we can do something to help those and make those formerly homeless means that we're all increased by when we improve the lives of those folks. It's so exciting to be here with everybody, all the partners who are working together. I'm so privileged to be a part, to know the partners, the citizens, the organizations, and all the work of Virginia Supportive Housing. Thanks so much for having me today, and thank you for all the wonderful things that are being done in our district, the city, and our Commonwealth. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce the Honorable Dwight Jones, Mayor of the City of Richmond. Mayor Jones established the first Richmond City Trust Fund, of which this is one of the recipients of the first round of funding, and also the Office of Community Wealth Building, among many of his accomplishments to address poverty in our community. Mayor Jones.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Allison, for the introduction. And I'm very happy to be here, although I'm feeling very old today, because I have been here through all of the phases of the development here today. In the mid-90s, I was in the General Assembly for the first phase, mayor in 2010, and then here today. So we want to congratulate the Supportive Housing, Virginia Supportive Housing, for this wonderful project. Do you agree with me? It looks a heck of a lot better than that motel that used to be here. And we were in San Diego last week. Candace and some of us from Richmond were there, and we were able to see the homeless problem that they have in San Diego, which is multiplied by 25 in terms of what we have here in the city of Richmond. And it made us recognize the importance of understanding how a sense of personhood is given to an individual who has a place to lay their head every night, and a community that has to come together to make sure that we address the problems not only of the wealthy, but also the problems of those who are in need. And so it's a very good thing to be here today because my administration has worked hard on the reduction of poverty, along with the president of our council, Michelle Mosby, who's here today. Stand up, Michelle. She's done a great job in helping me. Let's give her a round of applause. And we recognize that this region, that Richmond, cannot be a great region until everybody is able to participate in the wonderful region that we have. You know, Richmond is resurgent now. We are on everybody's list of great things: the best place to visit, the best restaurants, the most tattooed city in the country. And we are on, but those are good measures in magazines. But the truth is, there's another measure that we have to measure our city by, and that measure is sustainable communities with a variety of affordable housing opportunities, so that persons will be able to know that they have a place to live. And so we congratulate Virginia Supportive Housing and all of the partners who are gathered here today to make sure that the least and the left out are not forgotten in our city. When we got back from San Diego, beautiful city on the Pacific, 70 degrees most days, the sun always shines, at least that's what they say, as if rain never comes. But when you get back home to the place where you live, there's a sense of well-being that cannot be measured by any amount of money. And for these persons today, Virginia Supportive Housing, you have provided them with that concrete sense of being that allows them to know that when the night comes, they have a place to lay their head, be safe and secure. So thank you for what you do. It's great to be here today. Congratulations.
And next we have a resident here at Studios at South Richmond, Mr. Mike Dempster. Mike?
Hello everybody, my name is Mike Dempster, and I'm from Richmond. Grew up in Richmond area, joined the military in 1981, and been through all types of different campaigns, all the way from Beirut to Desert Storm, and a lot in between. While in the Navy, I was diagnosed as an alcoholic. Went in recovery. From there, after my military service, decided to go into the Merchant Marines. Traveled the world. When I've been around the world probably about 8 times. Been to about 120 different countries at last count. You see, I was used to making good money, real good money. When I came home, this one time my father was real sick. So I elected to stay to help him. Stayed with him about a year or two. And he finally passed away. And I was diagnosed and clinically depressed after that. See, I was suicidal. I didn't have anything, really. I mean, I had my house, my home, I had my little bit of family, and they seemed like they all turned on me. When I went back to work in 2010, went around the world again, came back home and went there. This is good. At least Ted's taking care of my bills and everything. Walked in that door, power's off. There's a notice for foreclosure notice on the door. Everything. And immediately called my brother, and he said, well, I needed the money to take care of me in Gala. And from there I was homeless for about 18 months. I was living over in Safe Haven. I had to have open heart surgery. Not allowed to go back to sea anymore because of a bad ticker. I remember what my pastor told me once before, especially when things started to build on me and get me down, and where I'm about ready to say heck with it and take a knife, kill myself, or even go out and get a fifth of gin and drink that down until I kill myself. Maybe 2 fifths. But the story goes on there. My pastor told me, he says, Mike, remember this. Put Jesus first in your life. If you can do that, all will be well. And I struggle today with little problems, but I keep Jesus first in my life, and I move on. And I got a place living here. I've gotten a lot of things happen for me better. I got good friends today. I got some very good friends here. And the Virginia Supportive Housing has helped me out quite a bit. And the homeless shelter I lived in, Safe Haven, I lived in that for 18 months. And all the volunteers for that, they helped me out. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of y'all, to our distinguished guests. I just want to say thank you and God bless.
Up next is Candace Street. Candace is Executive Director of Virginia Local Initiative Support Corporation and also a former senior staff member at Virginia Supportive Housing.
Good morning. LISC is a national nonprofit that helps to connect organizations with the lending capital they need to build affordable housing and community facilities. I want to thank Virginia Supportive Housing for the opportunity to partner in the transformation of the apartments of the former South Richmond SRO. Virginia Supportive Housing has been acknowledged locally and nationally for their role not just in bringing national best practices and supportive housing models to the Richmond and Hampton Roads communities, but also for creating national models. National models to help folks like Mike achieve their dream of a comfortable and quality housing unit. This project illustrates their impact. So to Allison and her team at VSH, all of us at LISC want to thank you again and give you hearty congratulations on a job well done.
And now we have Penny McPherson. Penny is Vice President and Senior Community Development Officer at Wells Fargo and also a former Virginia Supportive Housing Board member.
Thank you, Allison. Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to thank Allison and Virginia Supportive Housing for the great work that they're doing here on Hall Street Road. At Wells Fargo, we appreciate the opportunity to serve our community, and part of our vision and values is connecting with our community and our stakeholders. And we appreciate the opportunity to connect with an organization that produces great results like this building here. We have engaged board members for over 20 years, and we have a board member now, Loretta Tabb, I don't know if she's in the audience, who's currently on the board serving. And the great thing about it is that not only is Wells Fargo a grant, we've given a grant to Virginia Supportive Housing, we've also been an equity investor in this project from the beginning. And I'm here today because Virginia Supportive Housing wrote a competitive grant that competed with nonprofits across the world, across the nation, and they were one of 66 nonprofits to receive the grant. It's a total of $22 million that was allocated across the United States. And Virginia Supportive Housing won $160,000, and $55,000 of that is in this project. In 2015, the Priority Market Grant Program awarded more than $22 million to 67 cities across the nation. And in 2015, we also made similar awards to others across Richmond. And Wells Fargo thanks Virginia Supportive Housing for allowing us to touch the lives of many through our long-term partnerships. And I want to personally thank Allison and the team for work in stabilizing this particular community. Wells Fargo team members, at one point we had a volunteer program with Allison, and we came out and we did landscaping on a very hot 90-degree day, and I know I lost at least 4 or 5 pounds in sweat on that day. The unfortunate thing about that, Allison, is that when my husband saw the pictures, I could no longer say I was allergic to yard work. So ever since then, I've been in the yard with him. So I want to thank you also for working in this particular community, because my mom, who's sitting right here in that first row, my mom lives down the street at the next light, Orcutt Lane. My brother lives at the next block on Bryce Lane, and I have more family who live in the community. So the work that Virginia Supportive Housing does positively affects the lives of those who live here and those in the surrounding community. And for that, we say thank you.
And finally this morning, please welcome Jim Banta, Senior Vice President of Business Development at West Cary Group, and also the President of our Board of Directors. Jim?
Thank you, Allison. On behalf of Virginia Supportive Housing, I'd like to welcome you all to this celebration, a celebration of renovated homes and of community. Andrea told me I had 2 to 3 minutes to speak, and I told her, uh-oh, I've got more thank yous to make than baguettes in the Bible, but I'd give it a try. So first I want to thank our distinguished speakers, Jason Snook, Allison, the Honorary Betsy Carr, Honorable Mayor Dwight Jones, Mike Dempster, Candace Street, Penny McPherson from Wells Fargo, thank you. I'd also like to thank our neighbors and partners for making Richmond a community that cares. As other cities have declared homeless crises, your support has enabled us to reduce homelessness in Richmond. 4 years ago, the city had 1,200 individuals who were sleeping unsheltered at night. We've reduced that to 800, but there's still quite a bit more work to go. For their stewardship and leadership, I'd like to thank the Junior Board of Virginia Supportive Housing, who under Scott Castro's leadership is chomping at the bit to end homelessness. I'd like to thank my colleagues on the Board of Directors and members of our committees, and also members of our Council of Advocates. For their endless labor and sacrifice, I'd like to put a big thank you to the leadership of Virginia Supportive Housing, current and past, and also the dedicated employees of Virginia Supportive Housing. Truly an amazing group. They're relentless, focused, flexible. You guys really are amazing. Also a thank you to our advocates. Thank you to our volunteers. You bring community to our residents. And a thank you to our funders whose commitments make all this happen. These individuals, foundations, companies, and places of worship who give us their time and resources lift all of us up. And then most of all, I'd like to thank our residents. one for their patience during the remodeling and the moving about, and also for sharing their burdens with us. Like a tapestry whose strength comes from the intersections of the disparate threads, when we help each other, we all become stronger. So let us celebrate these newly renovated apartments as a community woven together with love and strengthened by compassion. Thank you.
Thank you for coming today. We welcome you inside for refreshments, and if you're interested in a tour, you can meet in the first floor community room, which is right over here, and we'd be happy to show you around. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Oh, but first, we'll take a photo op for the ribbon cutting. Thank you. That's all of you guys.
And you, come on.
Careful, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I was going to use the stairs.
Yeah.
Those are big scissors.
Yeah. You got it?
All right, let's count back from 5. 5, 4,
3, 2, 1. Yay! Good work.
So we'll leave these here.
Yes.